Okay, so this is an example project for GIS 201, and what I'm going to do is cover the basics of what goes in the report and how it should lay out. I'm going to show you an example. The example is not perfect. It has some problems, and we're going to look at the problems and point out what they are. Perfectly acceptable title page, nothing wrong. If yours looks something like this, you'll be fine. Executive summary. Notice the paragraph. Notice the page numbers start at the bottom of the page. The font is a larger font, Courier New. If you need to make your report longer, choose a font like this. If you need to make it smaller, choose something like Times New Roman. Executive summary doesn't clearly state the question, and so that's a little bit of a problem. It is one long paragraph. That's what it's supposed to be, but it's over a page. That's a little bit long, but I can live with it. The very first sentence in the method section is the question. That's pretty good. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Method section's multiple paragraphs long. If you'll notice that once we go from page 1 to page 2, as we go from the executive summary, it goes right into the methods. There is no introduction. That is an oversight. That is a problem. Here are some examples of how you should reference tables and charts and data and maps within your paper. This shows exactly how in the text it should refer to things when you're talking about a table. And remember, if a table or a map or a graph or a chart is not referenced like this in the text, as in example 1, where it says first, while Loudoun County is thought of as a progressive business environment, there is a relatively small industrial footprint. See table 1. And then table 1 shows you the amount of land zoned for industrial purposes as opposed to other uses. That's what I'm talking about. And remember, so if tables, maps, and charts and graphs and things aren't referenced like that in the text somewhere, they don't count. Your references should look somewhat like this. The ones in the top right are pretty much the format that I'm looking for. Where the data come from, period. Year it was published, period. Title of the data, period. A publisher, editor, hoster, whatever of the data, period. Website where it came from, date when it was last reviewed to make sure that the data is still there. Down here at the bottom, you see a pretty weak attempt at doing the exact same thing. In this scenario, you've got what it is and where it came from and something like that. The bottom set of references is like halfway there, which would get you probably about half the points it deserves. So I went over the sample project write-up that's in your documents now, and here's what I graded out at. Cover page, fine. Executive summary, fine. Introduction was missing, so I got 0 points. Methods, they graded out at a 5. 5 is an A, by the way, and 4 is a B, 3 is a C, 2 is a D, 1 is an F, 0 is nothing was there. The map package was okay on this one, although you can't see it from here. It was there. Results and conclusions were fine. The references were okay. The aesthetics of the map, one of the maps was lacking some fundamental elements like scale bars, north arrows, that kind of stuff, and so overall I thought that was a fair assessment. Was a B level for maps. Charts, tables, and such were fine. Had no evidence of model builder anywhere in this, so that got a 0. The graphs and stuff made sense, helped explain the text, so they got all the points for that. There was the zoning data, there was the road data, and there was obviously the county data itself. So that counted as 3 separate data sets. There was a line density, there was a central figure assessment, there was various types of reclassifications and whatnots, and so the two GI processing procedures were clearly met. Did in fact have a GIS question, so that's good. When you multiply the possible base points by the graded points, you get the total points for each item. They're summed up. Came up to 435 points out of 500, or 87%. Now I want to go back. The introduction is a required element. Model builder is a required element. While these are not catastrophic things, they are important and they were required. And so at a minimum, for missing two relatively simple things like that, I dropped it a letter grade right off the bat. And so I went from an 87 to a 77. I went from 435 points down to 385. This is roughly how I'm going to go. That's not a bad paper, but because it was just an utter lack of following the directions, what would have otherwise been probably 495 to 500 out of 500 points, it got 385 because there was no introduction, because the model builder was missing. So that should give you an idea of what the paper should look like. You can see how it reads and how it's laid out. There are some shortcomings in the example. They were there on purpose so that I could show you this. Use these things to your advantage to make a better final report. If you have questions, we'll talk about it in class this week, and I'll be available Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during regular and appointed office hours the week after Thanksgiving. So hopefully this will help you guys out. Enjoy the rest of your holiday week, and we'll see you next week.